How's it going, everyone? It is week 6 here at the Springfield VFW, and I'm joined with Coach Slopek, coach of the Springfield Tigers football. How's it going today?
Good, real good. No, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. And, Coach, we had two great players up there, Russell Lyda and Eli Perry. You want to talk about them first?
Absolutely. Eli, like he said, is a first-year player for us, and to assimilate into our culture, he's been just a joy to be around. He's a great teammate. Becoming a contributor on special teams for us, contributing on offense. He talked about his blocking and things like that. He's doing a great job for us. He's an ascending player. He keeps getting better every week. I'm really glad that he decided to come out this year for us. And when I talk about Russell, Russell is a kid that has been a rock for us. Last year and this year. I think last year he legitimately played every spot on our offensive line last year, and this year settling in as our right tackle. And if it's going to be a fourth and short or a third and short or something, we're going behind that dude because he's the man. And so and then on defense this year, stepping in and playing more of a role on defense. I can't say enough good things about what he does for us on that side of the ball as well. So really a joy to be with both of those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And two great guys, Coach. I just wanted to talk quickly about something Eli Perry said, and it was how excited he was to go out there and hit and block.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that it's not an uncommon, and it's an uncommon answer to hear at a high school level, but not at Springfield. And I think, what does that say about the guys going out there and they're not afraid to get hit or hit hard and go out there and block and just make their mark on every play?
One thing I never question about our guys is their effort and their toughness, and that comes from their parents and their grandparents and their coaches before them and before at the younger levels and things like that. We don't always play perfect, in terms of technique and things like that, but one of the things that makes it easy to coach them is we never have to worry about effort. We never have to worry about their willingness, to be physical. I mean, you're talking about receivers, and what do receivers want to do? They want to catch the ball, right? But Coach Miller always says, no block, no rock. Like we're not going to be able to throw the football if we can't run the ball and block well and things like that. And those guys buy into it because he does a great job coaching them. But it's like we talk a lot about, we want the opponent to feel us, after the game, and so like that's kind of what these guys have bought into, and it's not me, it's a cultural thing that's been built over a long time, and I think will be there a long time in the future as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I always feel like Springfield's a tough team to watch, when calling the games, watching them. You guys play a very physical brand. It's just great to see. And we'll go into this game. You guys won against Campbell this week, 24-6. Give us your first thoughts on that game.
Yeah, I was just really proud of our guys. I told them after the game, how proud I was of their effort. I know they were excited, and I thought we might have even been a little too excited before the game. Knowing that we hadn't had a chance to play for a while and things like that, and trying to actually kind of get them to just settle in and play. And once we did that, after it was really about the first 2 or 3 plays, and then it was kind of like, okay, let's just, settle in here. And all of a sudden, it kind of the rust got knocked off, and then, slowly but surely, we started to play really well. We think about playing really good on offense isn't always scoring 40 points. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times it's how you possess the ball, how many first downs you get, how many plays you run. You had mentioned the defense, earlier, and so the best way to play good defense is to play less defense. And so obviously we want to score every time we have the ball, but just being able to, we ended every drive, except for one, we ended every drive on their side of the ball, or on their side of the field, in the plus territory. And so that makes a big difference, because then even if you don't score, the offense still has to then drive. And in high school football, it's tough to put drives together. You know what I mean? If you're not reliant on the big play, it is really tough to drive the football in high school football. There's always going to be a false start or a bad snap or something that comes awry. So I think our team played good complementary football, last week, and that's what led to the win.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that we don't always talk about, but I think it's true, like what you were saying with the offense. Just your goal out there is obviously to score every drive, but you guys do a good job at just trying to keep the ball out of the other team's hand, and like you said, keep your defense off the field so they can play well when they're out there. Is that something you guys think you're starting to get more effective at as the season goes on? Is just holding that ball longer and making good offensive drives?
Yeah, I mean, really, it comes down to we started off the year with a lot of guys, even our seniors. We didn't return that many guys with a lot of experience. I think just naturally they're gaining experience and they're gaining confidence as the weeks go on. And that's kind of what we thought would be the case, that there would be some growing pains, with young guys, underclassmen and seniors who are young on experience, But I think each week you're seeing improvement. I'm seeing improvement. I'm seeing, that confidence building. I'm seeing guys understand. I mean, we've blocked offensively, we've blocked about every type of defense you could possibly block. And so I think with that begins a little, more familiarity. We've also gotten guys back whether we had some freakish injuries and things like that earlier on. That we're getting guys healthy now too, and so we're starting to find that right mix of guys, on both sides of the ball that are starting to step in, and really in all three phases. I think our special teams is getting bolstered too by some of the guys coming back from injuries.
Yeah, and talking about the other side of the ball a little bit, we're going to move on defensively. You guys held them to 6 points. 3 out of 4 weeks you've held them to 10 or less. I mean, that has to come with, especially at the high school level, limiting the big plays from happening.
Yeah.
And what do you do to help prepare the team so you're not getting beat on these big runs or a big pass?
Well, we talk a lot about, in terms of like your job and your responsibility, and I think it was, a number of years ago, that was like the whole thing with like the New England Patriots was do your job, And we talk a lot about that as well. You know what I mean? Like, where are you supposed to be? Like, Eli Warner's probably so sick and tired of hearing me say, where do we need you on the run? Regardless of where the coverage is, all right, because he does a lot for us as our weak safety position is an adjuster for us and a lot of things on defense. But, it's like, so where do you need to be? And it's always that weak side alley is where he needs to be. So no matter where you line up, you know what I mean? Like, you have to make sure that if they run the football, that's where you are, all right? Not necessarily where the ball is, but where it could be, And so, like, that's a big part of limiting explosive plays in the run game. We define explosive by 20 or more, And in the pass game, it's like, okay, well, which guys are here? Which ones do we think of are primary run fitters? You know what I mean? And then which ones are primary pass players? And in each call and in each coverage, we have guys that are, hey, you are geared toward the ball. You are geared toward the run. You are geared toward the pass. Do what you're supposed to do, okay? We also talk a lot about down and distance and situational football as well, and thinking about, all right, well, it's 3rd and 7. So what are we likely to see on a 3rd and 7? Well, that's probably more like screen draw pass, right? If it's 3rd and 2, we're probably thinking more run. But if you're a primary pass player in this coverage, make sure you're on your pass keys. And, that's one of those things that you can't harp on it enough, because when things start to go, get, I think, a little bit hard, you know what I mean, when the offense is moving the ball and there's a natural human inclination to sort of want to try to do more than what you're supposed to do. And that's actually when you have to really focus in more on, I have to do what I'm supposed to do. That's how we're going to stop this, not by somebody trying to be Superman, okay? And then the last thing is, again, they probably get so sick and tired of hearing me say it. But until we do it perfect, I'm going to keep saying it. And it's about leveraging the ball. If you're supposed to be an inside-out player, be an inside-out player. Don't let the ball cut back across your face. If you're supposed to be an outside-in player, make sure that you turn the ball back to your help. These guys talk about they like math so much. I said, well, there's 9 dudes in there, and there's 1 out there. Where do you think you should force the ball? Or the 9 guys, coach? Yes. Okay. All right. Like that's it's not rocket science. Okay. But like that's what we're trying to work for. Or civil engineering, like it's not that. So it's there's more dudes over there. Let's make sure the ball carrier has to go over there.
No, absolutely. But at the end of the day, you're working with high school kids. How do you kind of tamper down that, though, that I don't want to say selfish, because I don't think there's a lot of selfish guys on this team, but how do you tamper down that instinct, like you said, to like just jump on the ball, jump to the ball, knowing that they need to be there? Is it just drilling it repetitively at practice? Or?
Yeah. You brought up high school football, but like honestly, if you watch the NFL guys, they make the same mistakes. They just do it a heck of a lot faster. But they make all the same mistakes. There's all this. Football is football. Ball is ball. You know what I mean? One of the Ohio State coaches said that last year when I was talking to him as it relates to special teams. But he was like, make your special teams like it's offense or defense. You know what I mean? Because football is football. And so like you get to the higher levels of it's they make the same mistakes. They just do it a heck of a lot faster and with a heck of a lot more force because they're big dudes. So it's just constant. I think with kids, and everybody's like, this will be like my little soapbox moment. Everybody's like, oh, kids today have changed. Kids haven't changed. Society has changed. Kids haven't changed at all. If you show them why, and you show them that this is why and this is how it works, they will do it. You know what I mean? And I don't think we have special kids. We do. All right. And I'm very fortunate with that. But I really think that if you can explain why and show them why, we explain it why in practice, we show them the why on film, they get it and they'll do it. You know what I mean? And I reject this notion that somehow there's something wrong with our kids in the world today. Our kids are great kids. They do the same dumb stuff that I did 25 years ago. You know what I mean? They just have camera phones now, so they document everything. I'm so glad I didn't have to deal with that. But that's I don't know. Sorry, that's like my little
That's great.
My little tangent that I have to go off on.
Yeah, I think I think that's great, and I do think the documenting gets a lot of the attention. With
that's an issue.
Absolutely, but Coach, moving on to that, what's your 3 key takeaways for this game against Jackson Milton at home? Well, first, one sec, I just want to ask you. We've talked about it enough. We're not going to get on that, but how's it going to feel for you as a coach to see all these seniors and the players finally get a home game after so many weeks on the road?
Man, they deserve it. They deserve it. It's hard, and I didn't even really think of it that much in the midst of it, but then it was like, man, like it feels like it's been forever since that first game.
It's been a month.
Yeah. And that wasn't obviously how it was supposed to be, but you control the things you can control. And so I'm really excited for them, to get a chance to go out. And we always have a great crowd that's supportive, and our cheerleaders do a fantastic job, and our band does a fantastic job of setting the atmosphere. And it's different when you're at home. I'm looking forward to that. For them, for those guys. But once the ball's kicked off, it really doesn't matter. The dimensions of the field, everything else sort of, I don't know, for me at least, kind of like fades the black around me, and so then it's just playing, you know what I mean? But I think, these guys deserve to go out there and enjoy that home atmosphere. And it's homecoming too, which is always a fun thing as well. So we'll look forward to that.
Absolutely. And 3 takeaways for 3 keys to victory against Jackson Milton this week.
Yeah, Jackson Milton, I think Coach Shaner has done a great job of implementing his system there, especially offensively. That's where he's more geared. And it's very similar to what he did at Mineral Ridge, and he did a good job there. He's maximizing, I think, their talent. They have their linemen do a nice job, especially on their counter plays. Their backs run hard. Their quarterback is a player that plays really hard for them, and their receivers get after it. They have a couple guys that are real good route runners, and one guy especially who has great speed. So again, being able to minimize their explosives and to take the ball away, and that's very cliched. You know what I mean? That's kind of every game. But that's going to be a key to them, and not let them get their run game going, because then they can become a very dangerous team. Offensively. being able to identify their blitzers. They've been an aggressive group. Their quarterback also plays in the middle, the deep middle for him at safety, and he does a great job of helping out in the run game. So being able to identify that extra hitter who you're often not necessarily planning in the blocking scheme, he does a great job. So being able to control the ball, to get first downs, and if the opportunity presents itself, to take advantage and hit big plays, but really to just stay within ourselves and play fundamentally sound. In the special teams, in the kicking game, we honestly didn't have a very good week in the kicking game. Our kicker was fine, but from a coverage perspective and things like that, we struggled at times against Camel. And so being able to again relate those same concepts on defense that we talk about, the leverage and where you want the ball to go and stuff like that. We've tried to do some things this week within the first 2 days of practice this week, and of course we have another good work day tomorrow. But try to get that figured out, because special teams plays can really change the game. If you watch their game, Jackson Milton and McDonald last week, McDonald returned a punt for a touchdown, which was a major part of the game. Jackson Milton returned the opening kickoff of the second half for a touchdown and got themselves back into the ball game. And so those sorts of things can happen just like that and really change the complexion of things. So being able to create big plays for our special teams when we're receiving the ball, being able to limit their big play ability, because they have some big play guys, being able to limit that will be key for us.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you guys all for coming out, and thank you guys. It's Springfield this Friday night against Jackson Milton. CJ Schroeds and I will be on the call. Thank you guys all, and Coach, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Noah. I appreciate it.